And so here is Dalton Reisner, and listen to what he says. And I feel bad for the guy because the Bengals are dumbasses. They just are. You put people in a position to succeed. You never put people in a position to fail. Okay? If he's an extra offensive lineman, I'm okay with it. If he's playing a lot of snaps, take a look at his record. He started a lot of games. There was a reason why he was available. They could have signed somebody for a significant amount of money to play on the offensive line to help out Burrow. It's pretty simple. And they did not. They did not. And Burrow, gone 3 months, maybe gone for the season. There are different reports. And that doesn't mean that Burrow couldn't have gotten hurt anyway. And that doesn't mean that Burrow couldn't have gotten hurt against Minnesota. We don't know. We don't know. All I know is this. He's out, and this guy feels terrible. He's supposed to be a really good dude, and I'm not blaming him. I'm blaming the Bengals management. This is Dalton talking about what happened to Burrow.
Because it's not only his leadership that, I spoke on last week, and I've only been here 2 weeks, but it's also the player that he is. But like I said, trying to find the right words, but it's my job to protect him, and I wasn't at my best on that play. So, part of it I take fault on. Of course, I know I didn't actually injure the guy, but my job is to protect him, and I don't think I did a good enough job on that play to keep him safe and healthy.
You guys obviously rallied, were able to get the win, get to 2-0. What does it say that you guys rallied around Jake and were able to get the win?
Yeah, I think that's the game of football, right? Like, you got to find a way to win these football games. This is our livelihood. This is everyone in this building's livelihood, and you got to find a way regardless of the circumstance. And there was a lot of really good things to take away from the game yesterday. The way that we finished the game and driving the whole field and putting 31 points up, the way our defense played at times. So I think there's a lot of things to take away that are really good, and we did rally and we did support Jake, and he did come through and help win us the football game. But there's a lot of things that we can clean up, and everything that happened with Joe is obviously a super tough deal. We kind of just got to rally behind him there.
The Bengals are 2-0 for the first time since 2018. Were you drafted in 18?
2019 is when I was drafted,
so before you were in the league.
Yeah.
Does it feel that way? Does it feel like you guys are 2-0?
I think that it does, because being 2-0 in this league is really, really big, and to win in this football league is a really big deal, and we all know that in this circle. Media members, players, whatever it is, to be 2-0 and win in this league is really important, and it doesn't say it was a good win or an ugly win. It just says it's a W or an L, and we got 2 Ws, and I'm really proud to be 2-0. I'm really proud to be a Bengal and be 2-0 and see what's in front of us. So, but at the same time, for me personally, I know I haven't been here very long, but after a game like yesterday, you just want to continue to clean things up. You want to be better. You want to be better for your quarterbacks. You want to be better for your team.
There you have it, the comment from Dalton Reisner. And Jimmy, here's my point. He's a good dude. He's a really good dude. And he feels guilty. And it's not his fault. It's really not his fault. He shouldn't play that many snaps for any team in the NFL. And it could have happened to anyone. Could happen to the best offensive lineman. I get that and you get it. But it's a basis of probability. And probability-wise, the Bengals didn't take care of Joe Burrow. They just didn't. And I don't get it. It's an awful move. Jimmy, do you agree with every word? You think I'm out of my mind? Spend the money on your line first to protect Joe. You can get receivers. You can get wide. And by the way, they've got some good secondary wide receivers. Maybe not as good as Higgins, but sometimes you have to give to get, Jimmy.
Yeah, the main thing is acquiring those linemen. It'd be one thing if they had linemen and then they just couldn't re-sign them and they let them go. They just haven't had anybody that's been there to retain or re-sign. But like you said, when you go off and you pay the skill players and you don't have the extra money to pay the guys that you could either trade to bring in or sign off a free agency. But that's the issue, is they haven't even had one guy that they let walk out of the building. So I don't know how you fix it quick other than making drastic trades, because you can't draft 3 new linemen. You can't re-sign 3 veteran linemen that are great that would be able to protect him. That's the issue.
Well, they've got some linemen that I think are pretty good, but there was an obvious hole at right guard. And so you don't go into training camp with a hole at right guard. You just don't. Hi, we'll pick up somebody late and we'll see if we can stick them in. It's ridiculous. Okay, enough on that. It's just frustrating because we carry the games on LM Communications. Jimmy, the call letters are?
Classic Rock 92.1.
which I'm listening to more and more when I'm not listening to sports talk. It was kind of interesting. I was in the car and I put on classic rock and I had the Bengals game and I just kept on listening to it afterwards. It's a really good station. I'm slow when it comes to changing habits and those kinds of things. And we're going to do a Cincinnati thing and we'll get into Kentucky. And by the way, coming up at 12:30, Deuce Williams, dear friend, former Studley linebacker, will be joining us. Then at 1 o'clock, dear old friend Doug Flynn, just gone into the UK Athletics Hall of Fame. And proud of Doug, really happy for Doug. That will be fun. And we have a lot of sound bites that we've put together for the last couple days on football and basketball and all kinds of stuff. And we'll play that probably after Doug leaves us. Okay, to the Reds. I like Tito Francona. How can you not? Guy's a Hall of Famer. He's done a really good job. But he, at times, is too loyal to players, and it doesn't make any sense. Here is Stewart, and Jimmy hit Stewart and Stevenson, and the things that they did as the Reds. Did they finally win a game? Did they finally win a game? Did they finally win a game?
That's driven.
See ya.
Yanked to left. Another ride for Sal Stewart. Ricochets off the second deck. Give him 4 in his last 8. And on his young career, it's 1-0 Cincinnati. Driven to left center. That's down to the gap. That's 3 runs. Marte scores. Hayes scores. Stewart flying home. Stevenson clears them all. A critical 3-run standing double. And the Reds pull it away in the 9th. It's 11-6.
So the Reds win 11-6. Okay, and this baffles me. Stewart had been one of the best minor league hitting prospects in all of baseball. And you bring him up and you don't play him every day. And I don't get it. I just don't get it. It's baffling. So he had 3 hits yesterday. He hit a home run. He's batting close to 300. He should play every single day unless he's tired and he needs a rest. It's baffling. It's just stupid. And when they called him up, they said, yeah, he's going to play all the time. And he doesn't. And I don't get it. It's just baffling. Absolutely, unequivocally baffling. One more Cincinnati thing. I just got Cincinnati ticks me off. It's interesting. Very often the show has to do with something that ticks me off. Got some good stuff about Kentucky football and Kentucky basketball. Many times I've heard Mike Brown, the owner of the Bengals, say that basically the Bengals are their business. It's a family business, and they don't have other ways to make money. Okay. Forbes did their deal. Jimmy, did you see how much Mike Brown and his family is worth?
I did not.
Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but $5 billion. $5 billion. $5 billion. That's number 301 on the Forbes list. Jimmy, I was looking at 397, 398, 399, and 400, and somehow you didn't make the list.
Not this year.
I think you need to fire your accountant.
Yeah, next year, though. I'll be on there next year.
Okay. Who will be the first coach to be fired in the SEC? The guess will be Napier of Florida. That would be an obvious guess. And I'm not going to disagree with it. But the second guess is going to be Sam Pittman of Arkansas. You know, he's 14-29 in the Southeastern Conference, and he's got a hell of a quarterback. Can you see Bobby Petrino sliding and becoming the head coach? Can you see it? Can you see it? More SEC stuff. Jimmy, I don't know if you watched the end of the Georgia-Tennessee game. I watched all the clips, but I was at UK and I literally watched the end, and I thought Josh Heupel did a masterful job calling plays to ice the clock to make sure that Georgia wouldn't get the ball back. And then second to last play, left guard jumps offside. Gilbert, his field goal kicker, misses it, and they ended up losing in overtime. But I thought he did a masterful job. And I'm looking at this and going, this should have been an obvious win for Tennessee, and they just can't beat Georgia. They just can't beat Georgia. But I'm telling you, after looking at the clips, Kentucky's going to have to do a whole lot of improving. I mean, a whole lot of improving to beat Tennessee. They are. But I tell you what's obvious, if the offense for Kentucky continues to get better, there's no doubt in my mind. I mean, none. No doubt that I think Kentucky can score some points. I think the offense is going to continue to get better. And I expect them to score points against what? I expect them to score points against South Carolina. I do. I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be exciting. Let's go to Brad White clip number 3. We didn't play that. And we talked about the obvious. I think everybody knows by now that Brad White, who I think is an outstanding defensive coordinator, and there's no doubt, and I've said this forever, if Stoops leaves, I'm not saying he would be handed the job, but I think he'd be seriously considered. Seriously considered. And remember, I told the story a few years ago when Kelly went to LSU. He could have been his defensive coordinator for a humongous raise. He got a raise to stay at Kentucky, but he was making a lot less staying at Kentucky, which told me a lot about his relationship with Stoops and the fact he and his family like living here. You know, Jimmy, I can't remember, 1.3, 1.5, whatever he's making. Can you live on that? And I think too many coaches and people in life jump for that extra money when you're happy where you are. I mean, there's a reason to leave for money, but that shouldn't be the only one. Anyway, he's ticked off. Here's clip number 3, talking about the older guys, talking about how he's got to get some stuff fixed. And it's obvious this ain't a fun week in the bye week for the defense.
Our older guys, our starters have to play better. Like if those guys, don't play well, we're going to be in trouble. And you saw it tonight that they just, I don't know what it was. They had a good week of practice. I thought they were dialed in meetings all week. Last night, this morning, came out first play of the game, challenged a slant route. Great job by Ryan. Good job by Daver getting the pick, setting up a score there. Came out with juice, held up on the next down, series, and then it just became a series after series of somebody raising their hand. That's my bad. That was my miscue. I didn't get the call. And it was just every single person raised their hand on a different play. And when that happens, bad things happen. I was proud of that. Those guys, we got after them pretty good at halftime, and they responded, I thought, in the second half. But that's not us. And again, it starts with me. And I promise you I will get that fixed.
How ticked do you think he is? Pretty ticked. And I don't blame him. And I thought that was the worst part of the game. And I got to tell you, it's now a couple of games when the cornerbacks, and I get that they've had some injuries, and there's no question your second string is not going to be as good. And maybe some of these guys that are playing, you expect them to improve as time goes on. But the bottom line is the Yaks have been horrendous. And Stoops was bragging on his DBs and how that could be a strength for him this year. It's not so far. It's really not. And do I think he can fix it? I have no idea. Is it possible they can? Absolutely. Some of these guys will get more experience. Some of these guys will be coached up more. We will see. But for that not to be a concern if you're a Kentucky football fan is silly. I did not remember who put this up on Twitter, but Jimmy, this is a story that you're going to love. So Cutler told some little kid that he would bring him a glove after the game. In my book, Cut to the Chase, one of the chapters was about the quarterback club where Derek Ramsey is the leader. And so many of these quarterbacks look up to Ramsey like crazy. And Bill Ransdale wasn't the only one, but he would literally hang around to get gloves and things from Ramsey because Ramsey was his hero. And so he had a bunch of gloves. And I believe when he moved, did Ransdale tell me that he was upset that it got thrown out or lost or something like that? Whatever it was, the possessions that he got from Ramsey, gloves and things like that, meant the world to him. And I don't think he has it to this day. He had it for a long time. So anyway, he told this kid that he would bring him a glove. Jimmy, this kid waited for about 45 minutes. Waited and waited and waited. And think about it. You know, you're doing your media thing and you're talking to teammates and maybe coaches and all that kind of stuff. So you're not getting out of the locker room quickly. And especially when you won. I mean, so he waited for about 45 minutes and honestly wouldn't have been surprised if he said it was an hour. And then Boley remembered. And he brought this kid a glove and he signed it. And the kid's from Louisville. And Jimmy, how big of a smile do you think that kid had? How big of a smile you think his parents have? I mean, I got to tell you, if anybody in the Boley family is listening, one, they probably already know the story, and two, oh my gosh, respectful, kind, considerate. Is this like almost too good to be true? And I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. But Jimmy, picture yourself as a little kid, and you're waiting outside the locker room, and now your hero, Cutler Boley, brings you a glove, and you waited. Wow. Are you in cloud nine or what?
Yeah, that literally is something the kid will never forget. And he probably hasn't stopped smiling since that moment. And like you said, it's something small for Cutler Boley, but just the fact that he remembered. It's one thing to hand a kid a glove as you're walking off the field. That's cool in and of itself. But to have all that time between, he could have easily forgotten. And, you know, the kid's parents would tell him, hey, we understand. He forgot. It's fine. Maybe next time. But that's the guy that Cutler Boley is.
I think it's spectacular. Not good, but spectacular. We believe that Deuce Williams will be joining us next. I was going to do a thing on Josh Caddis, but it would take too long, and I'm trying to be conscious of being on time today. First time, Jimmy? Second time?
Maybe not third, maybe fifth time in 3 years, something like that.
Deuce Williams in the waiting room, and hey, Deuce, if you need a car, check out the Outback, Subaru. And go to the Quantrill Auto Group. I know we got a lot of folks listening in Nashville and Louisville and Cincinnati and other places. And I'm sure you have Subaru dealers there. But it's worth taking the drive to Lexington because of the quality of people in the Quantrill Auto Group. Now, check this out. 0% interest. 0 for 36 months. And if you want to spread it out to 72 months, it's 1.9%. What a deal. 0% for 36 months. Don't forget the Quantrill family of dealerships, the right place to get your next Subaru, and they promise to get you the best in sales, service, and no gimmicks. And they've donated to charities forever in Central Kentucky. Check them out. I trust them. We've bought 2 cars from them. Deuce Williams coming up next. Thank you for listening in any part of the country. Thank you for listening on 1300 AM, 92.5 FM.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrill Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Have a no filter comment? Hit the text line, 859-381-1313. 859-381-1313.
Houchins Insurance Group is proud to partner with Auto Owners Insurance, a company that provides opportunity for independent agents to make insurance simple for their clients, offering risk management services that range from a renter's policy for your college student to home and auto coverage for your entire family. Houchins Insurance Group assures you that nobody works harder to keep you protected from life's uncertainties. Reach out to AJ Boss or Zach Bennett at 859-263-2771 to see if Auto Owners Insurance makes sense for you.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. The Quantrill Auto Group has a great deal for this month. Subaru. The Outback is special, so check this out. 0%. That's right, 0% interest for 36 months. And if you want to spread it out to 72 months, 1.9%. What a deal. 0% interest for 36 months. Don't forget, the Quantrill family of dealerships is the right place to get your next Subaru, and they promise you the best in sales, service, and no gimmicks.
My name is Terry Schultz, CEO for the Rutherford County Area Habitat for Humanity. Republic Bank has really been a game changer. They have invested not only financially, but time to really listen so that we can move our mission forward. What I like about Republic Bank is they've come in asking, what are your needs? And I don't know that you get that any other place.
That's Terry's story. Now let's get to work on yours. Republic Bank. Time to thrive. Member FDIC.
Down, set, hack. Corn dogs coming in for the blitz.
Rick, what are you doing?
Brent, I'm practicing my snack plays for the next football game.
Well, in that case, Uncle Rick, stop by any Clutch Stop and Shop and pick up 5-hour energy shots, 2 for $4.99, or Uncle Ray's potato chips, 8-ounce bags, 2 for $6.
Don't get sidelined without your supplies this football season. Clark's Pump and Shop. Return, refresh, refuel.
Back to No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler. Podcasts on Apple, Spotify, and Google, Monday through Friday.
I liked how decisive he was, throwing the ball down the field. More than anything, I loved the vertical runs, and just when things were there, I thought he made plays, but when things weren't there, it's the ability to provide a spark and go run for a first down, which certainly helps us. So we just got to keep playing with that kind of energy, because that's critical in those moments.
There you have it. Bush Hamden talking about Cutter Boley. And now, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, it is not true he played football for Kentucky before there were face masks. I will defend Deuce Williams at all moments. Well, some of them anyway. Deuce Studley, linebacker. He's now a breeder and doing all kinds of things, very interesting things in life. And so, Deuce One, thank you as always for joining me. And give a grade, A, B, C. I'm sure it's not a D, F, or something like that. I bet it's not a C, but I don't want to put words in your mouth. Considering it was his first start of the year, third start. He played, Louisville.
Yep, last year.
Yeah, last year. He started last year, too, just a few games. Okay, so anyway, what did you grade him on?
Overall, I graded him a B. Listen, we got to win. He brought a spark to the offense that we hadn't had in several weeks. He was efficient, threw for 2 touchdown passes to tight ends. And, if you look at the stats, a couple 100 yards, and I think he was like 12 of 20 something. So he just played well. What I liked, he was composed. He didn't look out of place. It looked very comfortable. As Bush just talked about, when things weren't there, he found a way to use his feet to make plays. And that's what you want to see in your quarterback. I give him a B. I thought he did a great job. I said last week I thought he would play well, and he did.
Yeah, I think a B is fair. I give it higher because this is only his second start ever. So if he had started 20 games and they won, I would probably give a B. Me, based upon the circumstance and a lack of experience, I give him a B plus, A minus because of that. Now, when he's taken it, like 1,000 more snaps, he missed some wide receivers and all those kinds of things, but he did so much well. What I really like, many things I really like the early pass to Caddis. He threw the ball up, and I have this. It's a blessing. For some reason, during plays at times, it really slows down in the moment. I don't know why I have that, but it's really blessed. And as the ball is coming down, you can see there's 2 guys around him, which I liked because he's going to deal with that a lot more at South Carolina with better athletes. And right. I'm saying, okay, he put it where only Caddis can get it. But honestly, I don't know if Caddis could jump up and get it. And Caddis got it. And then Caddis made the catch that I've been bragging about like crazy. Jimmy and I were talking about this yesterday. Jimmy and I think maybe there's 5 tight ends, didn't say wide receivers. Jamar Chase makes that play many times where he's falling out of bounds and makes the catch. There are probably 5 tight ends in the NFL that can do that with that angle. And I'm going, this kid is now an NFL prospect, which you had no idea because he couldn't get him the damn ball. And so I really like a lot of the spots that Cutter put the ball where only his guy could get it, and he trusted his guys to go get the ball. And to me, that amplifies the grades, but that's me.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. And, what I really appreciate and stood out to me is that he stretched the field, and, throw the ball downfield, which allowed us, to be able to run the ball as well. So all around, I think that it was a spark that we needed last week when he stepped in. I was really happy to see him play well along with some others.
All right, we're going to play semantics here. You ready?
Yep, I'm ready for it. Let's do it.
Okay, so Josh Caddis is one of the nicest kids in the world. He really is. He's the kind of guy that, acts like a captain, has acted like a captain for years, comes from a great family. Actually, his dad played the offensive line for the Bengals, and they could use him now if he was about 40 years younger, because their offensive line, they had a hole and he was a guard, and that's fine, but I don't want to get on that tangent because I already did it. I look at Caddis, and he doesn't take a shot at anybody. Okay, I need to defend the kid because it's not part of his makeup. But when you have someone, as you know, Deuce, who doesn't take a shot at anybody, but when you really, really, really compliment somebody else, at times that can be a shot at the other person. Do you agree with that initial premise?
Yes, I do. Absolutely.
I set you up.
I know you did.
I know you knew I did. So before the season started, Caddis did an interview, and he was talking about Derek Shea, the new tight end coach. And he was saying, remember, Caddis has been around here forever. And he said, all the things the tight ends were now learning. Whew. Now, by the way, a new coach in, do I expect the new coach to put a little spin on some things and help you learn stuff? I do. But the way he said it, with such ferocity and strength, at the time I said, it's a shot against Vince.
Yeah.
It really is. And I'm not convinced. He did a great job here. He's helped out tons of kids. Okay. I'm really not. I mean, Kentucky was lucky to have him, but he's not perfect. Okay. And sometimes he was the Teflon man more than I think he should have been. Credit to Vince. So to me, that was one of it. And then last night, I was listening to the Stoop show, and he was on there. And it was fascinating what he said about the tight end coach and how they're more together, and how it's really interesting how the bond between the Shea and all the players is on a different level. It's pretty interesting. And by the way, Vince had a really good relationship with his tight ends. This sounds on a different level. And then he told this story that Shea told. And it's interesting. You are a great bull rider, right? And now you're in Spain, Deuce, and the crowd is roaring for you. You do great, and there's not a speck of blood at you. And you get off the bull and you run to the side because you had 4.5 speed back in the day, and I had 4.5 speed in the 10-yard dash. And you get out of there, and the crowd is going nuts. But the next time you face that bull, the bull doesn't care that you did a good job riding the last time. Bull's got short memory. Bull's got no memory at all. And so you better be at your best. And it's a story that these guys have really latched onto. I really think, and I don't think anybody's really going to touch it this way, that in an odd way, people are going to take this the wrong way. Things have a shelf life, okay? And this proves to me even more that Vince was wonderful here, but it was more than time for him to leave for his sake and for Kentucky's sake. And I'm saying, and for Kentucky's sake. And that's not a shot against Vince. And no one else will have the guts to put it that way or think that way. And that's what I believe. Does this sound nuts to you?
No, it doesn't. And it's look, we're talking open, no filter. I think that you hit the nail on the head on this one. Look, I like Vince. I've defended him. I think he did a great job recruiting here. But if you look at the position of tight end, it has underperformed for several years. So, look, you can, there's a lot of speculation. You can say what you want to about it. Do we have the right players? I think the answer is yes. Do we have the right system? I think that we should have been able to get the players the ball. The fact of the matter is, you go back and look at the stat sheet, the tight ends just did not perform. So you got to look underneath that. And very quickly this year, our tight ends are getting more involved in that. And so what you say, it brings a lot of merit to that conversation. And again, I'm not pointing or putting the target on Vince. I'm just saying that the tight ends are playing well.
Sometimes change is good for everybody.
Absolutely. I love change. I see change every day. So I think that's healthy, and it's definitely going to be healthy for this football team.
So you believe in that old adage, the only thing that's constant is change.
That's correct. I believe in that wholeheartedly, especially from what I do professionally. It just change is good, and I see it on a daily basis.
Tell us what you do for folks who don't know.
Well, I do a little bit of a couple different things. So I'm a director of sales for Auto Trader, which is owned by Cox Automotive out of Atlanta, Georgia. And then my wife and I, about 6 years ago, started to breed Labrador Retrievers. So we've got a passion for breeding Labrador Retrievers, and it's really growing on us. And we love the business, and we love all of our dogs. And it seems like our customers seem to like them as well. So that's also a good thing for us.
Satisfaction breeding dogs on a scale of 1 to 10, what would that be?
It would be above a 10 for me. I really enjoy that. That'll take Jackie and I into retirement at some point. We'll travel around with our dogs, but we get a lot of satisfaction, raising a puppy for 8 weeks and then turn it over to a new family and watching them smile and love on that puppy. That means the world to us.
And you love to hunt.
I do. Yep. I'll start hunting. Normally I start in and around early November. This year, though, I'm going to take my first trip in December. Go to Kansas with a good friend of mine, actually a couple of good friends, and one of our dog trainers. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Hopefully we'll run into a lot of waterfowl like we did last year, and it should be a fantastic year. I'm hoping so anyway.
Just let me jump back to Caddis for a second. I wanted to give him a plug. He's doing a shoe drive Thursday at the Malone's Drake location on Tates Creek Road. And they're trying to get undamaged shoes that you might not want or need anymore or whatever for those in need. And it'll be between 6 and 8 o'clock Thursday night. And just encourage anybody who would like to do that. I mean, that's the kind of kid this is. I mean, seriously.
I think just in general, when you look, there's always a bad apple anywhere. But in general, I mean, we usually have some pretty good kids on our team. And I'm proud of University of Kentucky. And I sure am a much happier person when we win football games, though. How about you?
Well, there's two reasons why I'm happy. To be brutally honest, one, I like when they win. Always want them to win. And two, the job is more fun. And honestly, they're both part of it. I always want Kentucky to win, even when I'm complaining about them, even when I'm criticizing them, even when I'm even ripping on them. One thing has nothing to do with another. And you know me well enough to know you just got to analyze what you analyze, and then you go from there. I think I've been around long enough. Most people get it, and some don't. Nothing I can do at this point. I mean, if you can't figure out what I've been doing for all this time, can't help you, and that's okay. And it's in the spectrum of things, it's really not that important when you look at it, but it's okay. I'm not more excited for the season after Saturday because Cutler did kind of what I expected. I thought he'd do some really wonderful things, and there was a time where he missed Law and he missed a couple receivers, and that's fine. But the things that he did, that he accomplished based on the number of snaps he's had as 2 starts, it was really good. And the fact that he has more time now to take snaps with the ones, which should get him just a little bit more comfortable. I see there's hope, and I did not predict that Vandy would beat South Carolina. Didn't even talk about it, to be honest, but I wasn't surprised that Vandy won because before the season, I talked about how Vandy did a nice job of bringing in players. Hat tip again to Jeff Picoro. And then I made a phone call with somebody who said, yeah, it's pretty interesting. They're getting better players at Vandy now. I think they got some money too. Vandy's got a lot of rich boosters. And you got a guy coaching that's his school. And I could see him bringing more money. I'm not saying Vandy's going to the national championship or anything like that. Let's not get stupid here. And I don't think they're going to finish in the top 6 or 8. But they have done a very nice job for Vandy, and they're building. And next year they're going to have to get a quarterback because Pavia is really good, and he's going to be gone unless he can play 25 years of college football, that kind of thing. So I wasn't surprised that Vandy won, but I think it exposed that South Carolina can be beat, and I think they can. And I got to tell you, beat South Carolina, and all these people are going to jump on the bandwagon. And here's my analogy. Okay, they go to Georgia. I don't think they can win. They go to Alabama. I don't think they can win. They could, but I just don't think they're going to win. They go to South Carolina, or if South Carolina comes to Lexington, I think Kentucky can win. I'm not going to guarantee it. I'm not that good. I'm not that smart. Depends what happens in the game. But you can beat South Carolina. You can beat South Carolina, and you do. This changes everything, don't you think? Because then you got to hunt for only 3 more wins to get to a bowl game.
That's right. And I think you said this since last week. I've heard you say it for a while. You think Kentucky will win 6 games and go to the bowl, and I think you're on target for that. I think that we're good enough to be able to play in the bowl game. One thing though, I will point out, and I mentioned this last week. I told you about number 3. Number 3 is a football player, and I think he'll continue to get more touches, and I think he'll end up being somebody that is special. He'll go down on being one of the better running backs that played here. I was happy to see his performance last week. I think he showed a lot of promise.
He did one thing on top of everything else that I'd never seen him do. So he actually slowed down on 2 occasions that I saw when he was past the line of scrimmage to read the block and let the lineman, I don't remember who it was in each case, sorry, but I don't remember everything. But he slowed down to let the blocker do the block, and as soon as the shoulder of the lineman was going towards whoever the heck they were hitting, boom, he took off. And I'm going, okay, Deuce, I'm not comparing him to Emmitt Smith. Please. Let's not get stupid here. Yep. But that's the kind of thing Emmitt Smith did a lot. He did it when he was at Florida. And I even talked about it on TV way back then 1,000 years ago when my hair was a different color. But come on, you tell me. Very few running backs do that. And by the way, he got some extra yards. Didn't get a ton of extra yards, but he got extra yards, whereas he just been running. He might have run into his lineman, or if he slid a little bit right or left, he wouldn't tackle. He got a few extra yards. So I don't blow it up to something, well, he got another 40 yards. No, it's not true. But he extended the play with his brains, his patience, and his timing. And I thought that was it was goofy good.
Yeah, he's going to be a really good football player, Alan. He really is. You can just watch him. He's got great vision. He's got great balance. The explosion is there. I saw it early on, and that's why I mentioned it last week, is that you can just see certain players. And Mo Williams, I'll give that example. I remember the first time I played against him. It's just, you can tell when somebody's special. And I'm not building this kid up. I'm just going to tell you, I think that he's going to end up being one of the better running backs that has played at Kentucky. I really think he's got a lot of talent.
I said quite a while ago, both he and Dardell will be in NFL camps. Now, it's too early to know if they're going to get drafted. If they are, they're not going to get drafted high. And if he keeps on getting 90, 100 yards a game, I still don't think he's going to get drafted high, but he would be drafted then. It's too much of the season to go. And so it's a compliment again to Stoops, and I've pointed us many times, he's a runner when it comes to what he likes to do, and he was able to bring in 2 elite transfers. But I stand by this, Deuce, and I want you to respond. They got to play Patterson more. And at the half, sitting next to my buddy, Dr. Jean Long, my partner in Cut to the Chase, and I said, at the half, they better play Patterson. They better play Patterson. 1, you're going to lose him. And 2, I had heard all these things about how good he is. You need 3 or 4 running backs. I've forgotten about Wilcox. I mean, I thought there were 4. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm wiping him off. Everybody's innocent until proven guilty. But in my mind, he's gone. Until you hear an innocent thing. And I'm not trying to be negative, but that's just how I feel. And I hope the kid is innocent and all that kind of stuff. I'm not being negative towards kids, but I don't like it. And the way the law is, I don't know the particular case, but this stuff doesn't often settle quickly. Neither here nor there. The point is, I said before the season, before the thing with Wilcox, that they had 4 running backs before the season when nobody else was talking about it. And so let me throw this at you. I'm being long-winded here, but I want a long-winded answer if that's what you want coming back. I've said this a number of times before. If the wideouts don't step up more, and you might have 4 tight ends, okay? I don't understand why they don't play 2 tight ends all the time, 1, and even mess with the fact that have the tight end as kind of like a fullback. And when you go across the line, as you know, when you pinch in, and there's going to be 8 guys in a block, and I'm okay with that if you have the right blockers. But if you get 4 yards downfield, people are going to have to be running to catch you. And so that in itself can be a very effective weapon. All I'm saying is this. At a certain point, if the wideouts don't do much better, go to your strength. Go to your strength. And maybe the tight ends are your strength. And so Maybe they don't want to quit on it yet. I really wonder if they've talked about this in meetings, playing, multiple sets of more tight ends and stuff like that. I just wonder. But it's obvious to me. Is it to you?
I think the tight end is definitely, based on the last couple of weeks, have been the strength so far of our team. But honestly, just feedback back on that, I think we need to stretch the field, and I think that with Cutler back there throwing it around, I think that the wideouts will get more involved. I think our tight ends will continue to get involved. Hell, I think we got to throw the ball to our running backs more and let them make people miss in open space. I would love to see number 3 have the ball in open space, and Patterson for sure. To be able to make people miss. So we'll see what happens. Here's the great thing is that we got a little buzz, instead of it being kind of a Debbie Downer kind of situation. We got a little buzz about the season. We're optimistic about what could happen at South Carolina. We're seeing some positive things from the quarterback position and some others. And like that gets me excited. It gets me excited to talk Kentucky football for sure.
Biggest fear so far this year is?
I missed that. What did you say?
Biggest fear that you have so far with this team is?
Biggest fear. I was disappointed being a defensive guy last week in our defense. I mentioned it last week. I think we need to get pressure off the corner from our defensive ends. And the thing that really bothers me, and we talked about this last week, is the corners. We give up over 300 yards passing last week to a team that's not very good. They just weren't, and so my biggest fear right now is defensively and more specifically at the corner and defensive end position.
How quickly can you coach up some of these young kids in the secondary? Look, TJ Waller's been out. He's a good cornerback. Okay. Mm-hmm. But your season can't fall apart in your secondary with one guy going out, because if it is, you suck. You just do. Yeah. You got to have backups. And there was a third string, a freshman, who played a lot the other day and did a really nice job. And I'm going to have to look up his name because I already forgot it. And to tell you the truth, I remember seeing him on the list, and that was it. Can't find the name. I'll find it in a second. But the point is, apparently did a nice job in the second half. Did a really nice job in the second half. And so I don't know how quickly you can get guys up to snuff. Everybody's different. You move up mentally, because to me, this is more mental and physical, and I want you to talk about that. But they got a problem. They got destroyed by Ole Miss on the Yags. I'll go further to say if they did a great job on the Yags, they probably beat Ole Miss. Now, there's a couple other things they could have done to beat Ole Miss too, but the Yags are killing them. And the lack of speed when those Ole Miss guys spun to the outside and kept on going, that's an athletic play. And that told me, Kentucky's DBs aren't as fast as Ole Miss DBs. And then I'm thinking you got to play, other schools like Tennessee, Georgia, and stuff like that. And they're really fast too. And could that be a problem? That kind of thing. So I don't know how quickly you can do this, but to me, it's a serious problem.
There's no question. I mean, they've got to give some people a shot for sure. The unfortunate thing about it is a lot of time your younger players, you just don't know if they're ready for that. But they're going to have to find out, right, pretty quickly. And what we can't do is what we've done the first couple weeks, which is give up a lot of run after catches, which is just not good. You mentioned that last week. And, we can't back up off the ball and let people just throw it around. And in Eastern Michigan, and this is no disrespect to them, but they're not what we're going to see on a regular basis in the SEC. So if we don't get that fixed pretty quickly, we're going to have some problems here over the next few weeks.
Well, the question is, and I don't mean to be mean, can they fix it? I got no clue. Now, getting Waller back will help. But you're playing JQ, who I think is a really nice football player. You're playing him too many snaps out of desperation. And come on, how many times when you played did you guys go toe for toe for about 3.5 quarters, and you guys are just gassed because you're playing too many snaps?
Yeah, it happened a lot. I mean, we played a lot of games like that. I tell people all the time, Kentucky has always had, you could look back in history, really good football players, but just not enough of them. And so when you're playing guys and you're playing, 50, 60 snaps in a game, I mean, you're wore out, man. I mean, in the SEC, and you get to the fourth quarter, you just don't have enough. So again, we're going to have to put some players in there. We're going to have to experiment, maybe kind of, different coverages that are going to allow us to be able to take some pressure off the corners, because it's obvious to everybody that's in the stadium that the corner is one of our weaker positions right now.
You know, I believe in this very strongly, and I said it in the 90s on television back then. I really, really believe, and I used to blame Curry for this on TV, that he was so hung up on playing the starters all the time that if you start playing your second strings against the cupcakes and let them play 15, 18, 20 snaps a game, okay, by game 4, it's almost like playing one game. Plus, the starters don't take as much pounding. And then if you have an injury in game 5 and your backup has played maybe 70 snaps, you're not as green. And I always believed that it's a coach's job to develop his bench. And if you don't play your kids, shame on the coach. And I thought at times Bill Curry was just from the school, for example, and because you're such an old player, I'm picking on Curry, but that was, I talked to him on TV about this. Why not play the backups? Why not play the backups? I mean, you know, offensive linemen, if you take 60 snaps away after the first 3 games, even though it's cupcakes, because it used to be cupcakes all the time back then, well, you're going to be fresher in October and November. You're helping the kids out of the starters. And now if a guy goes down and now you're putting in a redshirt freshman or redshirt sophomore and he's got some experience, he's not scared when he goes in the game. And there are times, and I don't blame him, kids go in 60,000 people, they have no experience, they get scared, don't you think?
Oh, it's just a different experience, right? Stepping in and playing in front of crowds, especially SEC crowds. And you just never know what a kid's going to do out there. You can see it in practice, but practice is much different than playing in front of thousands of people in the pressure's on, right? So yes, to your point, they're going to have to remember this. You know, every player is only one play away, right? One play away from getting injured, something happening in the game, and if you don't develop the people behind you and start playing those guys, what's going to happen when a star player goes down and somebody else has to step in? You automatically have a weak spot in your armor, if you will. So let's hope that we over the bye week we start to experiment on some things, and hopefully we'll see something different from South Carolina.
I've talked about this, but I haven't thrown this at you, and I have not talked about it much. So you remember the name Shannon Dawson?
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
they almost
offensive coordinator.
Yeah. Now this might be a slight exaggeration, and I'm going to say slight. They basically ran him out of town. Is that too strong? Pretty close? Would you say that's fair?
He got run out of town.
Did he become a genius in the last 4 or 5 years?
No, man. That I hear that all the time, and people just don't get stupid overnight. And I don't think Shannon Dawson was a bad coach. I think he was probably a bad fit for the system here. And I think if you go back and look, his system was pretty sophisticated, and maybe it just wasn't a good fit, but he seems to be doing a pretty good job where he's at now. I think he's, I see Miami doing great things. So anyway.
I wonder how often the offensive coordinators were allowed to be the head coach of the offense. In other words, you know this. Oftentimes you bring in a coordinator and they're the head coach of that particular side of the ball. The head coach has final say-so and stuff like that. I'll go one step further. Let me give you what I think is the perfect example. And there aren't a lot of examples like this. Bobby Petrino is the head coach of the offense at Arkansas. Okay. To get him down there to leave his previous job, although he has said at times it hasn't been as 100% the way he wanted, but that's Petrino. That's okay. But he's a hell of a developer of quarterbacks, and Green is – I love Green. I saw him at Boise State and stuff like that. I wonder – if Stoops' personality has hamstrung some of the offensive coordinators. I've wondered this, and I'm not the first person to wonder it, but when you look at some of the guys who left here and what they did, I mean, you could say, okay, Miami has a better offensive line. I don't know. Kentucky's got a pretty damn good offensive line this year, too. They have Carson Beck, okay? And before that, they had Ward, and they're putting up huge things, and I don't think he just became smart overnight. And so when somebody leaves, and you have more than one example of somebody leaving, doing something, and then they're tasting success, don't you have to look in the mirror?
I think you do. And again, I've I believe in Coach Stoops, and I've always supported him. But look, you've got too many reoccurring issues where you've got offensive coordinators that have left us, and the things that have stayed consistent, right, is Brad White. He's been around here for a long time, but there has to be something if you dig underneath there on why people continue to churn and leave. And I do think you have to give a lot of autonomy to people and let them do their job. You can't micromanage them, and you got to let people make some mistakes. Sometimes you let them make a mistake, they become better. And so I'm not saying that, and I definitely don't want to get on here and say that Coach Stoops might be micromanaging it, but I think there might be where there's smoke, there might be fire, and I'll leave it at that.
You know, I don't think Stoops micromanages. Seriously, I don't believe that. But I do believe the temperature can be set that when you're making decisions, Big Brother, your boss, is in the back of your mind and it affects you. I do not think he micromanages. I do think he does at times, and he's got a right to do it. First of all, he's a head coach and do anything he wants. But I mean, 4 minutes ago, he's talked about this. He can say, okay, run the damn ball, but he doesn't pick the running plays. He will say, okay, run the damn ball. Now you're the coordinator. Now fix it the way I want it because we're trying to ice the clock. And he does that, and he should do that. But I think there's something more there, and I can't put my feel on it. I can't put my finger on it, but I think there's something there.
I agree with you. I've said that. Again, where there's smoke, there's fire, but I believe in you, and I think we're on to something there. And look, here's my hope, right? Things were better this past week. I hope things continue to improve. When things improve, I think sometimes that pressure comes off and it allows people to go do their job the way they should. And so my hope is that we continue to see the improvement that we talked about last week, and hopefully in South Carolina, it's going to be much better. And as the season goes on, we'll continue to improve.
Bless your brother. Deuce Williams.
Amen.
Good time. Hopefully you'll find some time next week to talk a little football if that fits with your schedule.
Man, I always try to fit something in for you, and I appreciate you having me on. I always have fun with you, so thanks so much.
Fun and your knowledge.
And I'm not that old. I'm not that old.
How old are you? How old are you? Come on, Deuce.
I'll be 55 come November the 10th.
You know what? Okay, November 10th. Jimmy, we have to sing. You have to come on November 10th. Is that a weekend? I'll look it up because we got to sing happy birthday to you. And Jimmy sings better than me. That's not a surprise.
I believe that. I believe Jimmy sings better than you, man.
Bless you, brother.
Hey, love you. See you, man. Appreciate you.
Too. Thanks, man. Coming up next, Deuce is always fun. Deuce is always fun. We're going to call Doug Flynn. Hey, don't forget about DraftKings. Your season, your shot. The NFL season is rolling. Every touchdown can bring you closer to a payout with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. From first touchdown score to anytime TD props or the thrill of live in-game betting, every snap is loaded with opportunity. This is interesting. Jimmy, I'm sure you've looked at this. So the Bengals yesterday were underdogs by 5.5. And then it came out that J.J. McCarthy's out because of his ankle, and now the Bengals are only underdogs by 3 points against the Vikings. That's probably going to change again. I think they like Browning as the Bengals quarterback more than they like Carson Wentz. Fascinating. This is going to be a very interesting game to watch how it changes. And I happen to like the Bengals as an underdog. I'm not giving you advice. Not at all. Just tell you how I feel. New customers, this one is for you. Bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Plus, score over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code LEXSports. That's code LEXSports to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you place your first $5 bet. Plus, over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 18 plus, Kentucky only. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. NFL Sunday Ticket offer for new subscribers only and renews automatically until canceled. Digital games and commercial use excluded. Restrictions apply. Additional NFL Sunday Ticket terms at youtube.com/go/NFL ticket/terms. NFL Sunday Ticket/terms. Limited time offer. DraftKings, Doug Flynn coming up next. My friend, so happy for him. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Have a no filter. That's right, 0% interest for 36 months. And if you want to spread it out to 72 months, 1.9%. What a deal! 0% interest for 36 months. Don't forget, the Quattro family of dealerships is the right place to get your next Subaru, and they promise you the best in sales, service, and no gimmicks.
Houchins Insurance Group is proud to partner with Auto Owners Insurance, a company that provides opportunity for independent agents to make insurance simple for their clients, offering risk management services that range from a renter's policy for your college student to home and auto coverage for your entire family. Houchins Insurance Group assures you that nobody works harder to keep you protected from life's uncertainties. Reach out to AJ Boss or Zach Bennett at 859-263-2771 to see if Auto Owners Insurance makes sense for you.
My name is Terry Schultz, CEO for the Rutherford County Area Habitat for Humanity. Republic Bank has really been a game changer. They have invested not only financially, but time to really listen so that we can move our mission forward. What I like about Republic Bank is they've come in asking, what are your needs? And I don't know that you get that any other place.
That's Terry's story. Now let's get to work on yours. Republic Bank. Time to thrive. Member FDIC.
W223CV Lexington. ESPN Sports Radio 1300 and 92.5. WLXG Lexington. And LM Communications Broadcasting Station. The only no-filter sports show in Kentucky. It's the Alan Cutler Show with award-winning TV sportscaster Alan Cutler.
Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM. One of the things that I'm lucky about is all the wonderful people through the course of time I've been able to meet and call friends in Lexington and Central Kentucky and all over Kentucky and in different states in the South, you know, covering basketball and football. This person, when it comes to a quality human being, is up there with anybody that I've ever met. Of course, you can question my judgment, right, Doug? One of the great human beings that I really have ever met. And the fact that he's where he belongs in UK Athletics Hall of Fame, and we disagreed about something the other night when I said, congratulations. Doug, I can't believe you're surprised you're in UK Athletics Hall of Fame with everything you've done. Are you nuts? You deserve it. Everybody's happy for you. I can't believe you didn't think you deserved to be in it, or you're shocked.
I was really shocked because I was only there for 1 year. And, of course, as the first one of the early one and dones, I didn't know it was going to become so popular a few years later. But, yeah, I was very shocked, Alan. You know, there's certain things on your radar that you think, all right, maybe there's some potential. This one never, ever, ever crossed my mind. And when I got the call from Mr. Barnhart, trust me, it brought tears to my eyes. I was shocked. I kept thinking I was being punked by Adam Coos, what's that guy's name? Anyway, that guy did that punk show on TV. I thought they were just messing with me, but sure enough, it was a marvelous weekend.
Well, good for you. I don't know anything about punk shows on TV, so your knowledge is much greater than mine. You know, one of the things I've always tried to visualize, and I have trouble, how you came to Kentucky to play basketball at 145 pounds and 5'8", and yet you handled yourself well until it was time to move on. I don't know how you did that. I mean, seriously, you weren't that much bigger than a jockey, and you're playing with guys like Jim Andrews and stuff like that. I mean, it's a compliment. I'm not picking on you, Doug. It's a compliment that you had the toughness to do that and respect by your teammates to do that.
Well, let me tell you how it happened. They originally had signed Rick Derrickson from Lafayette to be their point guard. Over the summer, Rick ended up signing a contract with the Cleveland Indians. He was an outstanding pitcher in baseball, a really good athlete, played at Lafayette, basketball and baseball. So now school was getting ready to start. They had 4 guys on scholarship, Jim Andrews, Larry Stamper, Dan Perry, and Steve Penorwood. And 3 of them were from Ohio, and they really didn't have a point guard. So every point guard that they would want to try to get had already committed to a school. I was such a good athlete in high school, I had 0 scholarship offers coming out. And so I just happened to be one who was available. And so they said, would you play basketball? And if it doesn't work out, we'll give you a baseball scholarship. And that's how it all got started.
And you had an opportunity, but you took advantage of it, which is what life is about. Somebody opened up the door and you pushed your way through, which is absolutely a beautiful thing. I heard you tell a story that I didn't know about you that shocks me, because you have, in my mind, about as squeaky of a clean of a reputation as anybody I can think of. You actually got tossed from a basketball game in college?
You hadn't heard that before?
No. I mean, you've told me a lot of stories, both when we did a show together 1,000 years ago and then, off the air. And, I don't know every one of your stories, but I'm going, this has got to be liar's poker. This can't be the Doug Flynn I know, Mr. Perfect.
Well, I said playing at Kentucky taught me how to compete at a higher level, because at my size and every day before we would work out, we'd have to scrimmage against the varsity. And their guards were Bob McCowan, who was 6'1", Jim Dimwitty was 6'5", Bill Busey was the only one that was my size, Harry Mills was 6'2". So I was playing against those guys every day. It really taught me how to compete at a higher level. But we happened to be playing LSU in Lexington, and I had a lousy game. And the guy I was guarding was probably 6'1" or 6'2", and he really had some good lines. He'd say stuff to me like, hey, it's nice to know that jockeys are still allowed to come over and play basketball at the university. And I had a really rotten game. So we go down to LSU to play. They got 19,000 in the gym because Pete Maravich was a senior. And everybody, when we would play on the road, would want to come and see what Kentucky freshmen looked like. And they would fill up the gyms early because Kentucky was ranked number 1 in the nation. So I got off to a really good start against them. They were playing a zone, and we jumped out 19-2, and I was having a really good game early. And this guy and I started having a few words, and next thing you know, he hits me. And I happened to have my hand on his jersey, and when he hit me, I just came right back to him and hit him back. And we're down on the ground, and Coach Hall pulls me off. And the only person who ever saw him hit me was Jim Andrews. The referee and everybody else just saw me rear back and cock this guy. And so we go into halftime. Coach Rupp keeps me a little extra, and he says, Flynn, you're a disgrace to this program. You're a disgrace to the game of basketball, to the University of Kentucky, to the state of Kentucky, to your poor mom and dad.
Oh, my God.
Thinking, my scholarship is over with. And so he says, now go back out on the bench and sit with your boys. So I go out and sit on the bench. That night I'm in the room with my roommate was Daryl Bishop. And we're sitting there, there's a knock on the door, and Dan Issel and his wife Sherry are there. And they come in the room. I got ice on my jaw. And Dan says, are you okay? I said, yeah, I'm fine. I guess I'll be going home pretty soon. He went, going home? He said, heck no. He said, Coach Rupp loved it. He said, before we went out on the floor, he said, some of you boys, if you don't want to play hard, I got this little freshman kid who's willing to get in there and fight. And he used it as a motivation to talk to the varsity. And, it was wild, but I learned a good lesson because Dan Issel also taught me. He says, Doug, who's the one guy on this team that was bringing the ball up the floor for you guys? Well, that was me. He said, watch all the cheap shots I take because they know if they can get me out of the game, then they got a chance to beat Kentucky. And they knew if they could get you out of the game, that it was going to be harder for them to bring the ball up the floor, and they had a chance to win the game. So I remembered that as I was playing baseball. If I'd smack a tag on somebody at second, the umpire would call him safe late in the ball game, I'd want to say something, but I knew that I had to keep my mouth shut because maybe I could stay in there defensively, make a play that would help us out.
That's really great that Rupp used you to say, hey, I got this little guy that somebody else called jockey size who's tougher than you know. You don't get in there. That's a great story. I'd be worried about he'd make me walk back to Lexington.
That's what I was afraid of. And I said, all right, I'm going to have to pay for it when I get next to practice. But we were headed from there on over to Alabama. And I remember C.M. Newton was there, and we saw him when we first came in. And I'd known him for a long time, and Coach Newton was always just great, and he was great around here, of course.
Sure, that's funny. That's really, really funny, and the fact that lesson stuck with you for all those years. I don't think I've ever told you this, but one of the conversations I had with your dad, and I this was most of my conversations with your dad were before live shots at Rupp Arena, when we were one of the few people there. Sometimes we were the only people there getting ready for a very early live shot, and your dad would be there early, and he always had a piece of candy for everybody and that kind of stuff. And I said, Doug told me you were a heck of a player. And he goes, well, I could hit a little, but I couldn't field like Doug.
He was an excellent player. He was a better athlete than I was in everything, Alan. He wasn't very big either. I think he was about 5'7" or so. They had him listed at 5'8", and I eventually got a little bit taller than him. But he went to the Army, came out, went to the University of Dayton, played on, I believe, their first NIT team at Dayton, playing basketball. Then he came back here, played with the Lexington Hustlers, which was a really good ball club in town. Then played a year of minor league ball with the Brooklyn Dodgers. And they had a Class D team in Hazard, Kentucky. And as a kid, I can barely remember as a young kid watching him play semi-pro baseball in the Bluegrass League. And I remember asking Mom one day, says, Mom, what's Dad doing playing against all these young kids? Well, Dad was only 30. And so he was right in the prime of his life. But it was a lot of college kids that played in the Bluegrass League. And then I watched him play fast pitch softball. I watched him as a kid hurdle fences in the backyard chasing rabbits. He was an outstanding pool player. He was a diver. He could swim like a fish. He just was a really good athlete. He just didn't have a lot of size. And I asked him, I said, well, why didn't you continue on with Brooklyn? He hit .345 in his minor league year. And he said, they wanted me to come back to Hazard. And your mom had 4 miscarriages and got pregnant with you. So we decided we needed to be up in Lexington to make sure that everything went fine with me being born. Wow. So he basically gave up his career just for me.
You just gave me a chill.
It gives me a chill talking about it.
Wow. And by the way,
yeah,
folks, does that surprise me? No.
Yeah.
No. I think your dad was like 75, and I'm talking to him one day, and he shot his age. And didn't he do that?
Oh, yeah.
Past 75, he was still shooting his age, and his goal was to always at least shoot his age or break it by a stroke or two on the golf course.
Oh, yeah. He was an outstanding golfer. He just self-taught pretty much. When he was growing up, I know out at the Campbell House, which is now the Gay Brewer Golf Course, he started out there playing a little bit, and then he played in a few leagues, but he self-taught. He'd watch and look at other people, and he'd adjust his hands, and then pretty much everything he did was self-taught. And he had a pretty athletic family, too, because his brother Chigger played at Lafayette basketball and then was a student manager for the University of Kentucky basketball team. Matter of fact, that's who Coach Rupp thought I was when I first got there. He said, "Are you Chigger's boy?" And I said, "No, sir, I'm Bobby's boy."
How many times did you actually have conversations with Adolph Rupp?
2 that I know of. One was when I first got there, we were scrimmaging the varsity, and they were running a zone. I hit a couple of shots, and he called timeout. And he came over and he says, "Are you that kid from Lafayette?" And he thought I was Rick Derrickson. And I said, it shocked me for a minute. And I went, "No, sir, I went to Bryan Station." "Bryan Station, Joe? Did we sign a boy from Bryan Station?" And he said, that's the Flynn kid." And that's when Coach Rupp said, "Oh, are you Chigger's boy?" And I said, "No, I was Bobby's." And then the other time was after I got kicked out of the game, and he and I had that little heart-to-heart in the locker room.
I love.
But you know what, Alan? After we won the World Series in '75, he called Dad and really told him how happy he was for us.
Oh, wow. That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool. That's like off the charts. By the way, Reds, Mets, Rangers, Expos, and Tigers. You know, everybody knows the rings you got with the Reds. But I think too many forgotten that you won this thing called the Gold Glove, which they don't hand out. They don't just give it out for being the best fielder at your position when you were with the Mets. And you know what was always stronger about you doing it? You know this. There are some guys that are great defensive players, and they win the Gold Glove, 2, 3 times, 4 times in a row, and they're really good. But then they slip a little bit, but they still get the Gold Glove based upon reputation. So you know this. Come on. You did this for a living. The fact that you broke in, without hitting 40 home runs a year, exaggeration, that kind of thing, to me was even more impressive. Seriously, because you broke into what I call, and you tell me if I'm wrong, kind of like a boys' club, and you had to be extra specially good to break into that club. Agree or disagree?
Agree. If you don't hit well enough, you usually don't win a Gold Glove, which doesn't make any sense, but that's kind of the way it is. And then once you get a reputation, because I know in 1978 I had a really good defensive year and I finished second. In 1979, I had probably my best fielding year, and I finished second again. I got beat by 2 votes the first year, 1 vote the second year. And then I won it in 1980, and then I lost again the next year by 2 votes. So, I was right in the hunt, and my name was up there. And if I'd hit a little bit better, I probably would have won more Gold Gloves. But, the guys that beat me out, Manny Trio beat me twice. And the other one, Davey Lopes, and that's the one that's a little puzzling. But Davey hit 30 home runs that year. The Dodgers went to the World Series, and he was an outstanding offensive player. But, it came easy for me. Defense did. Hitting never came easy for me. I mean, even in slow pitch softball, it was tough. But the fielding part, it seemed to be a lot more natural. And my dad was right. If I could have hit like my dad, I might have won a few more Gold Gloves.
Now you got me mad. Seriously. I didn't realize, forgot that he Lopes beat you out. You got the balls he couldn't dive for and reach. And by the way, he was a hell of an offensive player, but he played in Los Angeles. Oh, my gosh.
That helped.
Oh,
that helped. And playing in New York helped me, too.
Absolutely.
Because
there's no question about that, but I'm mad now. You should have had 3 or 4 Gold Gloves. Davey never should have won a Gold Glove over you. I want to get more into you, but here's another one of my pet peeves in baseball. I love baseball. You know that. I had no talent, but baseball. I can't stand, let me repeat, can't stand when a guy who's got what we both would call quasi Hall of Fame numbers, but is a great defensive player, and that doesn't put him over the top. It's like defense is gated and not given enough credit when you're looking at a Hall of Fame player. Did he hit 500 home runs? And some guys who hit 500 home runs had as much range as I do. Well, no, not that bad, but you know what I'm saying. And defense, to me, has never gotten nearly enough respect in baseball. Never, ever, 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 ever. And I have never figured it out.
Well, in the words of a lot of the baseball people, defense doesn't sell newspapers, but offense does. And like Dave Concepcion, why is Dave Concepcion not in the Hall of Fame?
Oh, travesty.
There's no reason why he shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. I think Beta Pinson should be in the Hall of Fame. I think Al Oliver should be in the Hall of Fame. And there's a lot of guys, I mean, you're either a Hall of Famer or you're not. look how long it took Dave Parker to get into the Hall of Fame, and then they do it when he's so sick that he ends up passing away before he could go. It's you're right. There's a defense wins ball games, and everybody will tell you that. Unfortunately, it doesn't sell newspapers. It doesn't get you the large contracts, and it doesn't get you a lot of the awards that probably like the Hall of Fame that maybe you should get.
I think the only reason why Parker got in is because they knew he was dying, and so therefore they wanted to get him in as quickly as they could, and they were hoping he'd live that long when his numbers didn't change 5 years ago.
He's a good player, though. He was a good player, Alan. I mean, the guy had MVPs. He had batting titles. He had World Series. He was known for a great defense in the outfield. He had all the numbers, I thought.
Yep.
But the reason that he probably took him so long is that a lot of controversy about him back in the Pirates in the day. It wasn't steroids, but it was other stuff.
Yep.
And then Dave was a little flippant with the media, and that probably didn't help him. And as you know, the media are the ones that vote for you.
One of the great arms in right field. I don't know who was better. Maybe have an opinion. He or Roberto Clemente or Hank Aaron. There were arms back then. And I can vividly remember a one-hop throw to third base from deep in the corner he made. It was one of the prettiest things I've ever seen in baseball, but he had it. Parker intimidated me. I was sent to interview him right after all that scandal with Pittsburgh came out, and I was at spring training, and they sent me to talk to him, and I almost never got sent to do anything. It was always basically me picking what I wanted to do. But this is the kind of deal. News director said, you got to go do him. Well, fine. And I want to tell you, he was intimidating, but I had to ask 2 questions. I said, Dave, I'm going to ask you 3 questions. I won't go longer. You know what I'm going to ask. Can we just do this and get it done? He went, okay. But
well, he's 6'5" and weighed 245. He ran like a deer.
Oh, no, he wasn't 240. He was
bigger?
Oh, yeah. He was big, man. my standard life, he wasn't 240 in 8th grade. Exaggeration. He had to be 265 or 270, and he carried the weight well. Oh, and shoulders.
He could run.
Oh, my God. Until his knees gave out. It was amazing. He would have been a Hall of Fame tight end.
Well, Josh Allen, I saw him the other night. They look like about the same size.
Wow.
And, yeah. And Josh is big. He's 6'6" and 260 maybe? I don't know if he's more than that. He looks so good, you wouldn't know that he weighed that much anyway. But Parker would get up, and he could fly. I remember he used to say, we'd be around the batting cage, and he'd come up and he'd say, hey, Dougie, you better hope I hit a double, because if I hit a single, guess where I'm coming next? And he said he would get me. So about 10 years into our careers, he hits on first base, and there's a ground ball hit to third, and I'm covering second. And I get it. I turn the double play. I jump in the air. He slides underneath me, takes my feet out from under me, but sort of catches me and sets me down gently. And he says, yeah, I figure after all these years, we don't need to be getting hurt now.
That's pretty cool. That's
very cool.
There's a ton of things about you that I respect. And one of them is, for example, your relationship with Johnny Bench. It doesn't matter. The Bench was one of the greatest, if not the greatest catcher of all time. Anybody can argue about 3 or 4 guys, and that's fine. But as people, you have relationships with people that's as good as it gets in any sport, anywhere, through all crosses of life. And I know you know it, but I don't think you get enough credit for it, because you're just being you. You're just being Doug, and all the things you've done to help people. And when you were, going across the state, doing everything you could to try to get, kids off drugs and those kinds of things. I hope you feel good about a ton of the things you've done that had nothing to do with hitting a curveball or making a great double play.
Well, baseball gave me a platform to be able to do a lot of stuff, and being a part of a couple of world championship teams certainly didn't hurt. Playing with the caliber of fellas that I played with, and there was only 2 people ever that I wanted to impress when I was in anything I did, whether it be playing ball or just being, a non-ball player, and that was my mom and dad. Because I knew if I impressed them, then I was probably doing something halfway decent. I mean, to me, they were two of the greatest examples that you could ever have, not only because of being parents, but they were servants. And you could always walk into my house and you know you were going to feel comfortable. The refrigerator's all yours, help yourself to whatever you wanted. And then Dad, I used to think when I got home, I'd see where Dad had this great collection of Cincinnati Reds stuff or Major League stuff from everything I'd given him. He didn't have anything. And I said, Dad, what'd you do with it? He said, oh, every bit of that was for other people. And if you met him around Rupp Arena or at the Legends game or out at the golf course at Kearney, I had more people that would call and say, yeah, we were kind of stuck with something, but boy, your dad went over and made it work. And
yep.
So I just, hopefully I can follow in their footsteps and treat people well. But also I got to realize God has blessed me with a lot. And I wake up every morning just being thankful and appreciative. And my wife, Olga, and I were talking about this the other day. You know, I'm 6 months away from being 75 years of age. Man, did it get here quick. And as one of my buddies says, hey, Doug, if everything goes perfect, you've got about 20 years to go. Well, if that's the case, I hope in these next 20 years that I can have an impact on somebody's life.
Well, you've had an impact on many people's lives. You actually impact my language for a little while. Notice I said a little while.
Well, that's part of it.
Funniest teammate you ever had?
Greg Sinatro. Or that was a minor league. In the big leagues, maybe Daryl Chaney.
Okay, you got a story?
Yep.
I want to end on a light note. We don't have to. What my cranium is saying.
Daryl, he still is hilarious, and we travel a lot. He lives in Atlanta right now. He was the utility player with the Reds before I got there, and I basically took his place. He went down to Atlanta and got to be an everyday shortstop for a year or two, and then got into broadcasting. But he finds little things in life funny, and the thing about him, he's not afraid to do goofy stuff anytime, anywhere. And he used to have this little thing that he made, which sounded like you were breaking wind. Can I say that? Yeah. And he would take that when we would go out to dinner when I was a rookie, and he'd put it underneath his leg, and all he'd do is raise his leg up, and it would make that noise. And him and all the other veterans would all of them look at me and go, Doug, that is so rude. That is so rude. Being an elevator, he'd do it. He didn't mind. And little childish pranks like that he would do, and he kept our bench nice and loose in 75. And then in 76, when he became an everyday player, it wasn't the same, but I actually tried to take over his role, and I was not near as funny as he is.
Do you remember?
You know,
go ahead. I'm sorry, Doug.
No, it's just I look back and there was a lot of guys that would do. Greg Sinatro was like that. Matter of fact, he lives down in Tennessee now. Big Volunteer fan, and we're hoping to hook up when Kentucky plays Tennessee in football this year. So that'll be fun. I mean, that was 1972 that we roommates 72, 73, 74, and
wow.
Then he got some injuries, and I made it to the big leagues, but we've still remained friends. So. You know, that's really one of the cool things, Alan, is all the guys that I've been able to remain friends with. And if you played the game and you find another guy who played it, there's a certain fraternity there. And, you know, I just feel really blessed that, you know, the good Lord gave me an opportunity to do that. Now I'm here working still at Central Bank and enjoying life.
And doing a great job with UK baseball and also baseball in general. With Dick Gabriel and Darren Hendricks, and you still should be doing the Reds. We'll leave that alone. It's been too positive. I have strong feelings, too, about that, by the way, but that's neither here nor there. God bless you and Olga. I appreciate your time. I kind of cherish our friendship. We don't spend the time that we used to when we did a show every day, so it went from cherishing all the time, but anytime I'm around you, I cherish it. You are a great example of how to live your life properly. And to that, I applaud you. Your mom and dad were great. I didn't know your mom that well, but I knew your dad pretty well. And your dad was spectacular, and copying your mom and dad, that was brilliant on your part. Bless you, Doug. I'm so happy for you. You deserve it. You shouldn't be surprised. I'm still right about that.
But Alan, when you're friends, you're friends. Time can't separate friendships.
Amen.
So it's always good to be with you, and I appreciate any time you have me on the air, my friend.
Thank you, Doug. Bless you. Say hi to Olga for me.
I will. Thanks, buddy.
Have a great day. Jimmy,
you too. Bye.
Thank you. One of the class acts ever, anywhere in the world. It's really simple. I mean, I don't know very many people who have as many friends who sincerely care about a person as much as Doug. He has just a warmth about him that is most unique. It's most unusual. I've told the story before. I'm going to tell it again. I didn't want to take up the time with Doug. But his dad, Jimmy, as he was talking about his dad, a great athlete, I think I've told this one time. We would be at Rupp Arena really early. There'll be a few times where we get there so early, you got to do your shots, and they would turn the lights on. Was it an hour and a half before or 2 hours before? Whatever it was on clockwork because those lights cost a lot of money. Well, one of the times we were there, we'd just done our 5 o'clock hit, and so there was, about 20 minutes in between before doing a news hit at 5:30, then 5:50, then 6:05, and 6:20 in that day. It was a bunch of hits, and that's fine. It's all good. So Bobby, Doug's dad, is there really early, and Jimmy, he shot 2-hand set shots. And I don't know how it started, but I'm trying to shoot from the free throw line and not doing well because I was wearing cowboy boots. And he goes, "Oh, Cutler, you got to do better than that. I can shoot from deeper than that." So he takes his jacket off, hands it to me, and goes back and back and back and back. And he's not 10 feet inside the half court line, Jimmy. Not 10 feet. Takes one shot, no practice. Nothing but the bottom of the net. Nothing but the bottom of the net. And I said, "Hey, try that again." He goes, "Are you kidding?" 2 hands. Because that's what they shot back then.
Yeah.
2-hand set shot. Nothing but the bottom of the net. And on top of it, it's not like he had to jump to get it off. How he was that strong. It's not easy shooting a ball that far out. His wrists were really, really strong. It's just, I would have given anything to have video of that. Went over, got his jacket. It was on a chair, kind of like a little theatrical, dusted it off, and had this big eating grin. Special person, special family in the UK Athletics Hall of Fame. Can you imagine playing at 145 pounds, soaking wet? Guard on the freshman team at Kentucky. Doesn't matter if you were late ad. Doesn't matter. Doesn't make any difference at all. The fact that you were there, it's absolutely unbelievable. Unbelievable. Terry Page. Terry Page. Check her out. Not a very good, a great licensed massage therapist in Butler early in the week. Rest of the week, she's in Lexington, 859-373-0578. 859-373-0578. And if you want to have a free consultation for 10 minutes, go to naturalhealingandpainrelief.com. That's naturalhealingandpainrelief.com. Schedule a phone call. Talk to her about your issues, how you want help, what she can do for you. Trust me, she's worth it. She's been great to me. Terry Page. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM. Thank you, Doug. Thank you, Deuce. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Have a no filter comment? Hit the text line, 859-381-1313. 859-381-1313.
Houchins Insurance Group is proud to partner with Auto Owners Insurance, a company that provides opportunity for independent agents to make insurance simple for their clients, offering risk management services that range from a renter's policy for your college student to home and auto coverage for your entire family. Houchins Insurance Group assures you that nobody works harder to keep you protected from life's uncertainties. Reach out to AJ Boss or Zach Bennett at 859-263-2771 to see if Auto Owners Insurance makes sense for you.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. The Quantrell Auto Group has a great deal for this month. Subaru! The Outback is special, so check this out. 0%. That's right, 0% interest for 36 months. And if you want to spread it out to 72 months, 1.9%. What a deal! 0% interest for 36 months. Don't forget, the Quattro family of dealerships is the right place to get your next Subaru, and they promise you the best in sales, service, and no gimmicks.
My name is Terry Schultz, CEO for the Rutherford County Area Habitat for Humanity. Republic Bank has really been a game changer. They have invested not only financially, but time to really listen so that we can move our mission forward. What I like about Republic Bank is they've come in asking, what are your needs? And I don't know that you get that any other place.
That's Terry's story. Now let's get to work on yours. Republic Bank. Time to thrive. Member FDIC.
Down, set, hack. Corn dogs coming in for the blitz.
Rick, what are you doing?
Brent, I'm practicing my snack plays for the next football game.
Well, in that case, Uncle Rick, stop by any Clutch Stop and Shop and pick up 5-hour energy shots, 2 for $4.99, or Uncle Ray's potato chips, 8-ounce bags, 2 for $6.
Don't get sidelined without your supplies this football season. Clark's Pump and Shop. Return, refresh, refuel.
Back to No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler. Podcasts on Apple, Spotify, and Google, Monday through Friday.
My mom, for sure, is always my biggest influence. You know what I mean? Just the sacrifice of seeing how hard she worked and working multiple jobs. That was something that was instilled in me. Is nothing is given to you. And even when you reach the pedestal where you want to be, you got to continue to always work. And my family, you know what I mean? Just my family and friends, being around them guiding me through my life growing up and trying to stay out of trouble, stay out the way. Even when I got to the league, just having great people around me. So just always, I would say my mom, my family and friends, and definitely my team that I built while I was in the league.
That was John Wall, who did a one-on-one with our friend Tristan Ferris. One, I wanted to play the bite because it was really good. And two, I want to give Tristan a little bit of love because it's 22 minutes. It's on his YouTube page, Tristan Ferris, and it's really good John Wall stuff. And always so respectful of people that have helped him, and he's helped so many people. It's off the charts, and I'm really excited to hear him do color on NBA basketball games. I think he's going to be really, really, really good. Jimmy, let's go to clip number 5. A couple things. He really believes at times Boogie has been taken the wrong way, that he's got a temper. I think everybody knows that, but his drive to win is really off the charts. And I've always thought that I was disappointed that Boogie didn't get another chance in the NBA as a backup to a team that could win a championship, because he's the kind of guy that could put you over the top. And I think he played in Puerto Rico this year, Jimmy, didn't he? I know he played in Puerto Rico last year.
I know he was somewhere because a couple videos with him and fans went viral this past year. I think it was Puerto Rico.
Yeah, there was one where somebody, I don't remember if tossed something on him or spit on him or something, and then he responded. And fans down there can be extremely rambunctious. I was told by a friend of his, he swears Boogie didn't start it, but you know, you're supposed to be calm and cool and walk away and stuff like that. It's not easy to do. It's just not. And I'm disappointed he didn't get another chance, because I think he could have helped people play and win basketball games off the bench. Anyway, let's go to clip number 5. And he told this story years ago where he opened up where he didn't think life was worth living. And you say, oh my gosh, John Wall has everything. He's got all this money, this, that, and the other. And it's not all about money. It's just not. And he actually spoke out. It was very poignant about it because, one, he admits it was good for him. And two, he really felt it would help other people who said, you look at John Wall, he's got everything. Why would he think his life didn't have any value? And he's bounced back from that, and it's absolutely wonderful. Here's a clip talking about, one, he wanted to help others, and two, that it was good for himself.
I think both. I think for my healing, but I think also just letting people, let them know they're not alone. I mean, it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to go talk to somebody. And it's okay to express yourself to somebody that you probably don't expect that person to get certain things out of you that you wouldn't tell nobody else. So I think it kind of helped me. It helped me a lot for sure, but I also got a lot of recommendations that it helped a lot of other people. And I think it's okay for people to want to ask for help or have a mentor or have a therapist.
I think that's great. I really do. It's off the charts. When John says that he had other people saying, "Hey, you helped me too," to me, that's a beautiful thing. I thought it was interesting. Joel Missoula played for West Virginia when they upset Kentucky, and he's still mad at Missoula. You can have all the money in the world, but that loss to West Virginia, where Kentucky definitely had the better team, and they played them 10 times, they'd win 8, maybe 9. Seriously. At worst, 7. But on that day, West Virginia was definitely a much better team. Huggins outcoached Cal tremendously. Couldn't get the ball to Boogie, which was nuts, since their biggest player was 6'7". I will never forget how they couldn't get him the ball, and he's screaming for the ball and all that kind of stuff. And that loss still bothers him. So it doesn't matter how much money you have, right? That loss bothers you. It really is. The other little tidbit from that, and I'm trying to picture this, Jimmy. He bought a Rolls-Royce limo that he said was the dumbest purchase he ever made to take his kids to school. And I'm sorry. And he laughs at himself for that, which is really cool. I can't picture that. Can you picture that? I can't picture having a Rolls-Royce convertible to take your kids to school.
That part of me, though, loves that he did it, because think about when everyone's 10 years old and you think of what the coolest thing would be to get. And it would be to say you could take your kids to school in a limo. Thankfully, he didn't blow the rest of his money and he can look back at it and laugh. And because of that, I love it, because he's like, you get hundreds of millions of dollars, you do 1 or 2 stupid things. I think it's okay.
It is okay. And he picked on himself, and he didn't share that, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
He didn't have to share it at all. Let's go to clip number 3. And this was cool. Talking about his favorite 2 games when he wore Kentucky across his chest.
I can say Carolina because that was like my dream school coming up, so I always wanted to play against them. You know what I mean? So it was great to play them. And I know a lot of my family was watching, like, okay, because a lot of my friends back home are Carolina fans, so they probably was like, who do I root for? What's going on? So I was very, very amped for that game. If you couldn't tell, I caught cramps in the second half. I was so amped and probably didn't get enough hydration. And I'd say my second game would be the Garden, UConn. I mean, getting to play against my close friend and somebody I call like a brother, Kimball Walker, and just knowing the history of UConn and their guards and Jim Calhoun, how he was as a coach, and just being on that spotlight early on. Like, what are you going to do? Every GM here, every scout here, you got to put on a show. Like, this is your time to show you belong in college basketball, and to kind of put that staple of being the face of college basketball at the time, it was very exciting and definitely get that win.
6-time All-Star. We'll go clip number 1. And when he retired, and this bothered me at the time, he should have been playing in the NBA the last couple of years as a backup. I never talked to him about it. I'm sure he would have accepted the minimum because he just wanted to be in the game. He already made his money, and nobody asked him. And I've seen this before. You got a guy that's a superstar, okay? You can't pay him superstar money anymore. He's not worth superstar anymore. The money he earned, he earned it. But at the end, whatever the minimum was, he could have helped 12, 15 minutes off the bench. He could have counseled young players. He'd be like having a coach on the bench. He could have helped guys grow. And sometimes, to me, the NBA just does some dumb stuff that when your role needs to be adjusted and should be adjusted, that you still have value. John Wall had value, and he wanted to play. And it's almost like he was cast aside. It's not like he ever did anything wrong to do that. And I'll tell you a team that would have taken him in 2 seconds at the end of his career. When the Boston Celtics were great, Red Auerbach, who for me was the greatest NBA coach of all time, nothing against Phil Jackson, but he was the coach and general manager. He specialized in picking up guys at the end of their career and getting some more juice out of them. He would have taken John Wall in 2 seconds. In 2 seconds. Seriously. And it just baffles me. Anyway, Wall retires, and this was really cool. He received a lot of love from people all over saying, hey, what a great career he had.
Which clip is this?
Clip number 1.
most important thing I always say is just getting the love from your peers. And your peers and your fans, those are the reason why you play the game outside of your family and friends, you know what I mean? So to get that type of love and see the support I had, it meant a lot. A lot of people were sad to see me go. Kind of me, I was bittersweet to leave the game that I love so much. But like I said, I'm not leaving it fully. I get a great opportunity to go into sports analyst broadcasting with Amazon Prime. They first year taking over with the NBA. And I was just blessed to get the opportunity and happy and really couldn't wait to get it started, to get in that role, to see what my next chapter is about. And the same 110% effort I gave when I played basketball is the same type of effort I'm going to give with being in this new world of sports analysts and broadcasting.
And he's excited, and he should be. He's accepted the fact nobody wants him. It's time to move on. He's getting up in years and that kind of thing. And I bet he contributes really well. I'm really excited to hear him. I'm surprised how excited I am to hear him because he's so forthright and honest and straightforward when he does these, comments. You ask him a question, you get an answer. It's not like Cal when you'd ask a question and he would answer the question maybe or not and would just pontificate and go from there. Used to at times drive me crazy. Cal, that's not the question I asked. Well, that's not what he wanted to talk about, so he wouldn't answer it. John has just been different. And he's not the only one who does it, but there aren't a lot of people that do it that way, the way he does it. Got to throw this out there. We got a minute. Willie Anderson should be in the Hall of Fame. Tackle for the Bengals. It's a great tackle. Had he played for the Kansas City Chiefs in their heyday, he'd already be in the Hall of Fame. And a smart guy. And very successful in business. So here's a story, and it's a way of asking and being asked and giving advice for Joe Burrow with his toe. So in 2006, he hurt his foot in warm-ups, and he had trouble with his foot from there on. He heard something pop in his foot. He was scared. He got shot up and played the rest of the game. Team doctors, and that's the point of the story, told him he needed a bone fusion. And he's like, what the blank is that? And he says, never trust team doctors ever. So he flew to Charlotte to see Dr. Anderson. Same doctor Joe Burrow got advice from. And he said that doctor told him, man, who told you to get fused? And Willie said, the team. He said, you will never play football again if you did that. That's pretty scary, Jimmy, that another doctor says you'll never play football again if you did what the team doctors told you to do. He was with the Raiders at that time. And that's something you get. So the doctor told him, if you're an old man, you not do any more activities. And he goes, what the blank? He played and got shot up for every game after that in 2006. And by the way, he still made All-Pro and had his best season ever. And by the way, excuse me, he was still with the Bengals then. Apologies. I was still doing the Bengals radio network. And he said Marvin, meaning Marvin Lewis, used to hate that he wouldn't practice anymore that year. So he says, praying that Joe Burrow heals just as fast. Houday at Bengals. Willie Anderson is a smart guy. Seriously. He was as good of a right tackle when he played as anybody in football. I don't know why he's not getting more love for it. But Jimmy, I know we got a minute. Now we got less than 30 seconds left. The fact that he's not the only one who says don't trust team doctors, get your own opinion. That's not the first time I've heard it. It's not the second time I've heard it. It's not the first time you've heard it either. It's kind of scary, isn't it?
Yeah, and as a player, that's got to be the scariest words you can hear, and also why so many guys go to whatever specialist it is. If it's your elbow, you go here. If it's your knee, you go there. And they all have the same few doctors.
By the way, I know we got to go, but Kobe Bryant went to Germany.
Yeah.
A lot of people forget to get his knee done because they had a different way of repairing his knee, and he said it changed and saved his career. Germany. He got help. You got to think outside the box. Anyway, huge thank to Doug Flynn. Love you, brother. Deuce Williams, you're special. Been a great friend. Appreciate you. We'll have fun. Not tomorrow. Reds baseball knocks me off. I think there's one other time rest of the season there's no filter show because of Reds baseball. Hey, Reds have priority. I get it. Whether I like it or not, it is what it is. There are contracts. So I'll be back on Thursday. Jimmy, try not to miss me. Try. I know it'll be tough.